Yo, apprentices, acolytes, welcome to the Dark Temple, visited by Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker, and Kyle Katarn, and so many of the Force sensitives like yourself. I am Lord Dagovere, and it's so good to see you, fam. As always, thank you so much for coming in. Yes, let's frickin' go. Yes, sir. Let me get my Instagram broadcast on. Apprentices and acolytes, ready up. Yes. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming in. So good to see you. How y'all doing? Glad y'all are here. Yes, Imperial Activity, David Torres, Rebel Soldier, Dom, Skywalker Academy fam. It's always good to see you. Leon. I always think of Resident Evil every time I see that. Man, I hate the way this thing works. All right, so I'm trying to get the Instagram stuff on, so just give me like 1 second. All right, guys. Let's see. Sith, Alchemy. I always make sure I do YouTube first because you guys are the homies. So I want to make sure that we do that. Okay. Can we go live? Great. The hell, just go live, bro. Okay. That was so weird to do it. Yo, Choco, it's so good to see you, fam. Thank you much for coming over here, my guy. Yo, it's so good to see you. Let's go. Everybody, make sure you guys welcome Choco, the legend himself, coming in here. How you doing, man? How's your week been? How's everything going on, dude? Dude, it's been such a huge content grind and everything, man. You know how it is. I'm sure you probably are accustomed to all the craziness and stuff. Man, I can't tell you how many times I always get great Jedi comments or man, or the one that's been getting me the most recently is the dark side, the Sith shrine under Coruscant, under the Jedi Temple in Coruscant, man. That's the one that's been getting me like so much. Yo, what's up, Black Knight? How you doing, man? Thank you so much for coming over here. We need RE-type Star Wars games about the Blackwing virus. That would be insane. That would be crazy. It's so crazy because I know it's Thanksgiving now, and I just did that whole entire Star Wars horror playlist, that did so that was so. I got so many views. I think I got over 130,000 views combined with just like the 6 or 7 videos that I did on the playlist. It was amazing, dude. It was like one of the coolest things I've actually been a part of for my content. It was insane to see how often it would grow. I kind of wish that I could find a way to do that like every season for Star Wars, man. There's got to be a better way. And it's crazy too because I'm so close to 10,000 subscribers. I'm making my way to 8 right now. I only need like a couple more hundred, but it's been really fun watching the channel grow. Especially this year, man. It's really sad too that because I used to do reactions, but I wanted to be like the lore guy, and I think as a reactor, you don't really get like people don't really give a shit whether or not you know Star Wars lore and stuff like that. And I've always been someone that knew a lot. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything, but I know a lot, and I always like to continue to grow that knowledge, and that's why I started doing more lore stuff because I think people will respect it more. Could you imagine Force Unleashed reboot with like better graphics? Yeah, I'm sure they could do something like that. I'm not sure how Starkiller would ever be able to fit into the new continuity, and I know they wanted to bring him in Rebels, but Galen Merrick's Starkiller is always such a polarizing character. You know, Dutch Drago says, "What about the Sith shrine under the temple? They did canonize it in the High Republic." Yes. There's a lot going on. It's just it's when I read Plagueis, you know, and that of course that's Legends continuity. You know, Plagueis is telling Palpatine that, hey, you know, you got to be careful when you go to Coruscant and you start involving yourself with these Jedi because they're going to know that you're a Darksider, and the Coruscant itself is dominantly light, and the temple there is light-sided, and the planet is also light-sided because, you know, the Jedi are all here. And the Jedi are making this planet light-sided dominant. And, you know, with that, and the way I've understood it in the previous continuity, and now with, like, the source books and the High Republic and the shrine under there. Also, the Tarkin book talks about specifically about the shrine and then Palpatine and everything what he was doing there. So it's just always like really crazy, and there's so many people continuously talking about like, well, you know, the shrine was the main reason why the Jedi lost their powers, and you know, and this and that's the whole reason why Palpatine was able to come into power so quickly, because he used the dark side from the shrine itself. And you know, I mean, I don't know if that's really what happened. I kind of see it more so like the shrine is there, and Palpatine was there, and I think both contributed to the Shroud of the Dark Side that ultimately suppressed the powers of the Jedi and helped, I guess, aided in or assisted in the ultimately them their demise and losing their powers. So that's usually how I kind of see it, and that's what I've gotten from the new canon at the very least. So I try to have my own head canon too, which is annoying and whatever, but you know, if it works, man. I always wondered how not one Jedi never felt the crystal underneath the temple. Yeah, but that's also the thing too, is I feel like, you know, it also has to deal with like the Jedi being there. You know, you have the Force Virgins, you have the Nexus, and not every single Jedi is going to be special. Not every single Jedi is Yoda, you know, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. They think like a lot of these characters, specifically whether it's in the Old Republic, you know, or the prequel era, you know, or whatever, like they think like everybody's Dragon Ball Z Goku, where he steps right on the planet in Namek and instantly is able to tell the power levels of like the Ginyu Force, Frieza, and everybody else that's there. And not every single Jedi can do that, you know, especially to that degree. I think actually one of the only things that the Acolyte did right was to show how solid Vernestra Rwoh was. As soon as she stepped on the planet, she instantly sensed Smilo Ren, you know, Khmer, which was a fantastic depiction of that Force power. I think it actually depicts Force powers very well, even though I don't like the show too much, man. I think that's one of the strengths about that show. But sitting there on top of that temple, there's a lot of sources too, including the Locations book that talks about how the Jedi was built on top. The Jedi Temple was built on top of the Sith Shrine, but the Sith Shrine was ultimately cleansed, and they have the peak of this mountain where the Jedi Temple is essentially built. And there's this whole fight between Jedi and Sith where they just wanted to build on top of one another. It's really silly, I think, how it goes about that, but that's the lore, how they just kind of built on top of it. And the Jedi kind of literally burnt this Sith shrine to ashes, and then the Jedi built the temple on top of it. And then from there, they made the actual legitimate temple that you see in the prequels, which is the main Jedi temple that they all use on Coruscant. And I don't think I don't think a lot of people would sense it, especially with the Clone Wars, because that's the whole thing too. Is like you have the Rule of Two, you have Palpatine, Shroud of the Dark Side. You know, it's all these things that are playing into the suppression of the Jedi's power, where they ultimately, you know, they can't use their abilities the way they can. You know, their foresight is diminished, and that's because the galaxy is shifting. That's usually the way it works. I need to reread Tarkin. I love, dude, where's my spaceship? Them. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Tarkin's a crazy book, too. I kind of slept on it when it was first introduced. But that book has a lot of stuff. It has, like, it mentions, like, the beginning of time a little bit, very subtly. And then it also talks about, like, the Sith Shrine. It's not a lot of stuff that I would get from that book. You know, Tarkin, you know, you think it would just be about Imperial stuff and him and raising him and everything, but I definitely slept on it. I did not know the game of that book. Yeah, thank you for your question. Yeah, no problem, fam. Definitely. That level of sense depends on their own connection and understanding of the Force. Exactly, Ralph. That's exactly it. You know, I think that's honestly, I think you answered that question better than I did, because I ramble a lot because I like Star Wars so much, so I just can continue and talk about that shit, man. Has it been turned into the hasn't it then turned into a dark side Nexus also then back again as the Jedi? Yes, that's exactly what's going on, Black Knight, is that it seems so. Coruscant has this wellspring in the Force, right? It's basically like a Vergence, right? And we've talked about Virgins and Nexuses 2 weeks ago, and we've made a lot of videos about it. But basically, like, a Nexus or a Virgins is where the Force is extremely strong. You know, basically take Anakin Skywalker, but in a location or a spot. The Dagobah Cave is a really good example. That's probably one of the more popular ones. But Coruscant is also home to one too, and it's supposed to be in this mountain or a part of this mountain. That's where the Jedi Temple essentially was built. Then the Sith built their shrine, and they tried to infect this Virgins to make it a dark side nexus, which they succeeded. And then the Jedi was like, "Oh shit, we gotta fix this." And so then basically the Jedi went in there and expunged everything, all Sith, tried to stamp them out completely without a trace, burn their shrine to the ground, and then tried to re-infect the light side and seal off the dark side and make it a light side convergence again. And it just sifts back and forth, and yeah, it's a little silly on that lore, but yeah. Skywalker Academy says, I always find it kind of funny how the Jedi just can't figure out what the Sith Lord is yet. Palpatine raised every red flag, and he's close to the literal chosen one. Yeah, you know, I think that's also just the story, you know. Even when I go back and look at it and watch it from the movies, it's just like, you know, Palpatine did everything right, and the Jedi did everything wrong. You know, it's just everything was essentially shifting in momentum into Palpatine. And I think that's why the uniqueness of the Rule of Two, and why I appreciate Bane Path of Destruction so much. And I know a lot of people talking about, Disney new canon this, or Legends continuity that. Yeah, you know, but I still think that the Rule of Two isn't necessarily, like, replaced. You know, it's not substituted. You know, I think that book is still relevant today until they completely erase, you know, or substitute that book with a new retelling of the story. But at least right now, I think there's a lot of stuff that you can take from that context and use it in your own headcanon to help explain why Plagueis and Palpatine, the Rule of Two, is so important to the downfall of the Jedi. Because, yeah, they had no idea. They had no idea what was happening. And Palpatine was there on Coruscant doing his thing exactly just like Plagueis had wanted to, if that's still the story that they want to go. And I think it still all makes sense. You know, and I think that's the beautiful part of both continuities kind of like coming together to help enhance the stories and the movies. And that's why I love it. That's why I love both of them, man. But yeah, it's pretty sick. Leon says, did you guys know about the original villain for the Dark Empire was going to be an imposter in Darth Vader armor serving the Empire before George Lucas changed it to Palpatine clones? So are you talking about the Dark Horse comics? Because I remember reading so much about the Dark Horse comics, because I actually love Dark Empire. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think it's you know, when Palpatine comes back in Rise of Skywalker, I was actually really hyped because I liked the Dark Empire, and I was like, oh my god, dude, this is like one of the first Star Wars expanded universe things I've ever read. Let's freaking go. And then everyone hated Rise of Skywalker, you know, at least a lot of people that I talked to. And yeah, I think that movie borrowed a lot from those comics. But to see that idea of like a Darth Vader imposter is really interesting, because we've had a lot of imposters in Star Wars, especially like Judo Cast and Boba Fett. And I think it's really interesting to see someone like Vader. And then what was the new Lego movie that came out? I think it was like Rebuild the Galaxy or something. And Darth Vader is a Jedi, and Palpatine is a Jedi, and it's really good. If you guys haven't seen it, it's so funny, man. I actually really love that movie. It's hilarious. So I just keep thinking about what a Darth Vader imposter would look like, and I just think about the all-white Darth Vader suit, Jedi Vader that we see in that movie, man. It's amazing. They decanonized the EU, but man, they did take a lot from it. But I think that's also the point. You know, it's like not only do you come in here and make your own stories, but you can also still make money off the previous stories, and you can also use those stories to help influence future stories. You know, and I think that's a lot of people get really upset about that, but I think that's the whole point. That thing has been there for like 40 plus years of comics, books, an expanded universe, and why not use that, man? Everybody loves that shit. You know, especially people that are most critical on the franchise. Go in there, take what's already been made, and now evolve it. You know, don't copy it. You know, like like a carbon copy and word for word, but you can use these ideas. I think a lot of people would really love, a character like Mark Aragnos or Exar Kun, I mean, even descendants or ideas of like Revan and Maitre Surik and Treya. I'm not really a big fan of Nihilus and Vitiate, but there's a lot of amazing stuff in the Old Republic. There's a lot of amazing stuff in the Tales of the Jedi comics. There's amazing stuff in the Darth Bane trilogy that's amazing too, and even the Heir to the Empire in the future books that, if George Lucas was going to come out and make his own sequel trilogy, would have gotten retconned in some way. I still think that there's a lot to go on. There's a lot of really amazing things that I think that they could do with the franchise, and I'm always going to be excited no matter what anybody says on the internet, man. Yeah, Germ says Dark Horse comics were and still my favorite comics, storylines, artwork, Clone Wars. Dude, when I go back and look at a lot of these old, like, New Jedi Order and a lot of the old, like, yeah, like, exactly like you're talking about, the Dark Empire stuff. I have some of the stuff that was written in here, that I have some of the artists. But one artist that always comes up is Chris Trevis, who is amazing. Like, he's in on just about, like, every single piece of art that I've ever seen. I think Manny Yamas, I think, is one of them that does the Dark Empire stuff. There's some stuff from the New Jedi Order that I think there was a Japanese artist that was going ham. Like, really amazing, beautiful art, man. And I kind of miss that type of art. Like, they have a lot of High Republic art coming out, and there's a lot of really talented artists, but I really miss, like, the look and the aesthetic of, the Exar Kun books, the Star Wars Old Republic books and things like that. A lot of the Chris Trevis stuff I think was really good, from the Essential Atlas, Guide to the Force, Jedi versus Sith. I'm trying to look up some of the other ones still as I scroll and talk to you guys. But yeah, I just miss that feel. But I think also the High Republic is good in that way, that it's unique and it's itself. It's its own thing. It doesn't, like, steal or take away from the Old Republic. It doesn't replace the Old Republic. It's just in its own time frame, and it can be its own thing, which I think is a huge advantage to the High Republic, especially if you want to get into it. I can't find any more of the old art, but yeah, man, a lot of those artists that work on those stories were amazing, man. Absolutely insane. Sorry, Pretentious, I just saw your stuff. I've read and collected the Star Wars Old Republic novels. I'm in the process of completing the rest of the Star Wars EU. Dude, let's go. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, what's up, Alice Centix? Thank you so much. I hope you've been well, brother. It's been good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, fam. I appreciate you. It's so good to see you. Yeah, just doing my thing, trying to talk Star Wars, be the nerd that I am, and having a good time with everybody else here. Imperial Activity says, I lived through the dark times in our galaxy. In the early 90s, the Dark Empire was what we had besides the OT. I think what's really cool about the idea of living in that era is, like, Star Wars is so important, but the Tales of the Jedi comics and the Dark Empire stuff, like, you have, Shadows of the Empire, I think, that came out sometime around that time, and then, of course, you have Splinters of the Mind Eye. I have all the books behind me, the Courtship of Princess Leia, of course, and one of the other, some of the other books that Barbara had made, and it's so crazy to see all those books kind of, like, have some type of influence now. And I think it's really interesting how it's developed, and still some of those stories I think are really good. There's always people talking about how they don't like this book or they don't like that book, and I can't remember which one is Twilight of the one with Waru, if you guys know who that is. I think it's Children of the Twilight. I can't remember what the hell is this one. Yeah. Oh yeah, the Crystal Star. I think that's what it is. Yeah, and and I remember there's so many people every time I talk about it on Reddit, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is one of the worst Star Wars books ever." And I think it's so funny how, like, often where I'll go on Reddit and I'll see someone talking about this one book, and this person will say, like, yeah, this book is, like, one of the worst ones ever. And then someone will reply, like, what are you talking about? I love this book. This book is so great. So it's interesting to see everybody kind of, like, have their own views and opinions, especially about the Legends continuity in that late 80s, early 90s time before, Heir to the Empire came out and Tales of the Jedi came out too. And I still think to this day, man, Tales of the Jedi comics are one of the coolest contributions to Star Wars because it's so early. The prequels haven't started yet. You know, there's so much interesting Star Wars lore with that, and I just continuously think about like how interesting it is for them to create those stories before the movies have come out. And you look at Exar Kun, and Exar Kun's story is so very Anakin Skywalker, and I think that's why a lot of people really freaking like Exar Kun, because when I'm reading his story all the time, I'm just like, dude, this guy's like, he has this natural darkness about him, very similar to Anakin. You know, he's also dressed in like black Jedi robes. You know, he has this natural curiosity for, you know, for power and learning. And I think it's really interesting how that story had developed, you know, before something like Anakin Skywalker had become a thing. Maybe they did have some inspiration from the original trilogy, but still, really awesome. I think that's cool as hell. Rebel Soldier Dom says, do you play any RPG tabletop Star Wars games like Edge of the Empire, Force Destinies, and Age of the Rebellion? So I've never actually got to play any of the tabletop stuff. I do love the lore books. So like I will sit here and read so many of these books, like Galaxy at War, you know, is one of the coolest ones. I have the Force Destinies, Knights of Fate, that I think is awesome. Dude, I just love reading a lot of the essential guides and the source books after I read a lot of like the main fluff of the EU, because you just get so much more. I think it enhances so well, and I think that's something that the current Star Wars EU can do better. Like I really do miss a lot of the source books and the atlases and the essential guides. Like one thing I think would do really good is like, dude, I really want a High Republic source book. Like I want like everything. I know they have the characters and stuff, but I feel like they could do more. You know, the character sheets or something to that could really be really sick. Maybe like the chronology of the High Republic or something, and things like that. I just think that you could do that for every era, especially in the new canon. You know, because there's a lot of stuff that I've seen from the early 2000s, and I think the early 2000s on to like 2011 had some of the best guides and atlases and source books in Star Wars, and I haven't really seen that happen. It's been yeah, man, it's been crazy. Red Harvest of Zombies. Yeah, Red Harvest is I actually don't like Red Harvest as much as the Death Troopers. I think Death Troopers is really cool, and Red Harvest is supposed to be connected to that as well. But that's why I love the source books too, because then you have the Ultimate Adversaries book, and it's not Unknown. I think it's the Outer Rim. Let me see which one that I was just reading for. It's the Unknown Regions. The Unknown Regions source book too talks about the Nell Nell and how the Nell Nell is connected or believed to have basically birthed the Project Blackwing virus. So it's really sick. Do you get the Timelines books? So I have the one. Is there a second one? Is there a second timeline book for the new canon? I only have the one. You know, so I'm. No, there's only one, right? There's only one. I know there's a new locations book that's coming out next year, but I'm waiting to also get the what's the new guidebook that's coming out in November that everyone already has in Europe? That's the one. No, it's just one. Okay, yeah, that's the one I do like. I love those books, man. I think those books are good, but even that one, like the Timelines book, I think that needs to come out like every 3 years, because with all the comics, I think that one had to come out last year, and Jedi Survivor had just come out. Some of the comics had just come out. And it mentions a lot of good stuff, man. You know, I think they do a really good job at categorizing a lot of these things. But there is so much media to keep track on. And I don't know if that's even possible. I'm still really butthurt about us not getting Andor concept art, Ahsoka concept art books, Mandalorian Season 3 concept art books, Book of Boba Fett concept art books. You know, a lot of those art books I think are really important. And there's still no visual guides for a lot of those shows. So, I don't know if it's because they don't sell enough. Maybe they don't want to put enough effort into it. Whatever it is, you know, it just kind of stinks, because I love seeing all these other Star Wars books, especially when I go on the thrift stores And I see so many books, you know, for Revenge of the Sith and Episode 2, Episode 1. Even the stuff for the sequel trilogy, I think, is done really, really well. Despite that not being my favorite trilogy, I still, like, really appreciate a lot of the media that they put out, man. Yes, Death Troopers is one of my favorite. Death Troopers, I don't know if you guys have listened to the Death Trooper audiobook, but it's really funny when you start listening to the audiobook, and every single chapter, they, like, scream out. And for instance, there's this one chapter called Bubbles. And so if you haven't listened to an audiobook, Star Wars audiobook, it's amazing, man. It's such high production. It sounds like an audio movie. It's got music, sound effects, voice actors, man. It is the best shit ever, dude. And I remember sitting there listening to it, and the one chapter is called Bubbles. And then the narrator's like, Chapter 10, Bubbles. And then all of a sudden you hear this weird static and sound effect, and you hear someone go, Bubbles! And they do that with, like, every single chapter. So it's like, Chapter 12, Choke. It's hilarious how they do this stuff, but I really, really like that type of uniqueness in a lot of the audiobooks. I was really excited for Tears of the Nameless for the new High Republic one, but that audiobook is not great. I don't know what they were thinking, man, but I guess it's just too much money or something. But man, that really it demotivates me to want to read and buy more stuff. You know, I think that's one thing about these audiobooks, man, is the magic in them. And when you don't have the magic in them, it just feels kind of vanilla, and it just makes me feel like I shouldn't read it. You know. Like, I want to see the concept art. Yeah, exactly, Rebel. That's exactly how I feel, fam. Like, so yeah, bro. High Republic is peak. Oh, really? You like the High Republic, dude? That's awesome, man. I'm actually reading Light of the Jedi right now. Light of the Jedi is, in my opinion, one of the harder books to read, but it's necessary because you have to get into the Rising Storm, the next book, or the next main book. And the Rising Storm is one of the best books I've ever read, man. And I'm a huge Legends guy, dude. I love the Rising Storm, man. Cavan Scott just doesn't miss, bro. I can't wait, but I'm not going to spoil anything, bro. So you keep reading that stuff. I think they do have Art of the High Republic, and I think the second version of that book is going to be coming out too. I know they have a character book too that they got. So they're doing it right. I just like to see more because I'm spoiled and I want to eat, baby. All right? Yes, Death Trooper is one of my favorite. That's funny. Death Trooper was my first time using the audiobook, and yes, you're right, they did. Yeah, dude, it's awesome. It's so fun. It's so cool. I really enjoyed that, man. I don't want to spoil it for anyone else, but yeah, definitely check it out. It's super fun. Dr. Choco says, I love that. That one reminded me when they took the Green Day song and added Godzilla screams in the background for no reason. That is hilarious, man. Speaking of which, I'm actually excited for Skeleton Crew. I can't wait to see it. I really hope they release that entire track of Major Thompson and in Hades, man. I like that. I think the first time I appreciated that was Ahsoka, and Ahsoka is not the greatest series, but it's my favorite. It's my favorite because I'm a huge Anakin Skywalker fan. So, you know, that's why I'm always talking shit about the Jedi and everything, but I loved Ahsoka because we had that metal, like, Hades song, and it was so good, dude. I really dug it. I listened to that song actually probably maybe once or twice a month, and I really appreciate it. I do not like, however, like legitimate media, like real songs in real life being in Star Wars. I am so against it, man. Like, I really don't like it. But I thought that implementation and the Skeleton Crew trailer did it well, did it right. I think if you're going to do that, that's the way you do that. I don't want to see it like all the time though, but I appreciated that. Oh, Jedi Fallen Order also did something that was really cool with the that one band in the opening. We were sitting there on Baraka, and all the trash guild was going around doing stuff. That song was really cool too. I can't remember if it was like a Mongolian band or something, but that shit was insane, bro. That's exactly how you put people in the universe. That shit was awesome, man. Yeah, that's cool, dude. Yeah, halfway through the Rising Storm, it's good, dude. It is amazing. Skywalker Academy's Rising Storm is so good. It is so. I think I've listened to that book 2 or 3 times, man. I'm an Elzar man boy, because he's a fuck boy. You know, he's Anakin Skywalker of the High Republic. So, so I love him, man. I love him, dude. He's great. He's such a chaotic. He's so silly. I love it, dude. Yeah, dude, he's great. Have you checked the library stores? I got a lot of late 80s and 90s books for $1. Wow, that's really cool. So it's really hard, I feel like, to find those stuff, especially, like, I live in Florida. So a lot of times where I go thrifting, someone is usually thrifting because they want to scalp. You know, they're just kind of going out there and looking for stuff. I have found some stuff, really good deals a lot of times where I go to old comic book stores, sometimes old bookstores, but the old bookstores are so hard to find something. It's really hard to get in there, but sometimes I get really lucky, man. And some of these books are great. Like, for instance, that's how I found... I do this every stream, guys. I swear to God, it's like the Twilight Zone with me, because I just don't shut up and I talk about the same shit all the time. But this was one of my favorite finds, guys. Is the Jedi, the Essential Guide to the Force, Jedi versus Sith, man. This is literally one of my favorite books ever, dude. And okay, all right. So I'm gonna nerd out with you guys, okay? Because I got no friends, and you guys are the homies, okay? So the reason why I love this shit, and the reason why I love going out and finding Star Wars old books, is because I will go out and find these amazing books, okay, like this, and then I will find someone else's notes inside these books from like the early 2000s. Like, someone legitimately is like going through and reading these things and marking off their notes. All right, so I'm gonna try to show you on each stream. I don't know if you guys can see this. So here we go. There's a marking right there with his pen. Yeah, right there. Right? So let me do it with the camera. Yeah, so you see that there's markings all over this, right? That is like the equivalent of finding a real-life holocron, okay? All right? And you guys know I'm a freaking Sith fanboy. So that shit is the coolest thing in the world to me. That someone else is going by. And as I'm reading page for page of these things, you know, someone has, you know, underlined something very interesting, you know? And there really wasn't no YouTube back then, you know? And for someone to be underlining and looking at these things had a deep understanding of the lore back then. Were they writing book reports? Were they posting on forums? You know, it's so amazing to think that someone is going back and literally talking about the Gray Jedi to a friend, and the person is saying, no, this is not how the Force works. Literally look and see what Luke Skywalker says about his time falling to the dark side, you know? And that's exactly what, you know, this type of stuff is underlined in here, like from Bane's words and Revan's words, you know, and everything else, man. It's just so damn cool that you can find stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why I love being a fan, man. It's just finding that stuff. I remember one time where I was a broke boy, and I was going around and I saw someone's entire, like, collection of old Star Wars books. And I actually have... I actually have their name, I think. I think it's Steve. Steve! I think it's Steve. So, Pedro is one of them. Hang on, and then there's another person. Yes, and so there's Pedro that I keep finding books of him in Florida. And he's someone that had these things. And you guys have to understand, okay, it's really, it means a lot to me because I did not have toys. I wasn't allowed to play video games. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of stuff when I was younger. So I'm kind of like making up for it now where I have money and I can go out and buy these things that I never had, you know, in my childhood because I wasn't allowed to do these things. And I see this guy named Stephen Kitts, and I've seen over 100 books of this guy, and like writing his name and like everything. And, you know, I've tried to purchase each one, you know, because whether he gave it away, whether someone stole it from him or whatever it is, you know, I feel value and understanding of like not having things, you know, because I was someone that never had anything. So when I see these stuff, I see a childhood and someone able to accumulate these things and have fun and have a life. And so I really like the idea of just taking it and giving it more value, you know, to someone that didn't have it, you know. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense to you guys, but so when I see those books and those names, and I get really excited, you know, because it was a part of something. It meant something to somebody, you know, it meant a lot to them. For them to go in there and make notes and, you know, write down stuff, write their names. So yeah, and you know, I want to make sure that these people know that they're getting it and I'm taking care of it, you know, and I'm reading it and I'm enjoying it and I'm loving it, you know, and I'm talking about it online with all you guys, Star Wars nerds like myself, you know. So it's really cool. It's like a real life holocron, you know, and it's just all this knowledge is getting saved and put online so everyone else to share, which is completely unlike the Sith, who like to destroy shit and keep it for themselves because they don't want anyone knowing their secrets, you know. But yeah, that's me. That's all I'm rambling about. So Imperial says, as an audio listener of your former podcast, I have and will continue to listen to you take about the same shit all day, every day. Thank you, Imperial Fam. I know I haven't talked on the podcast in a long time, man. It's just I don't know if I don't know. Do you guys see value in that? Do you guys want the podcast to continue? I haven't done it in like a year, which is really terrible of me. That's very uncharacteristic. I usually don't give up or don't stop. But I did feel like when I was looking at myself in the mirror one day, I felt like having a podcast by yourself was silly, you know? And I don't really have anyone to do a podcast legitimately with, you know? I wanted to focus strictly on growing the channel so I can find people that give my voice value. And in that time, when I continue to grow the channel, people will listen. You know, people aren't going to listen to a nobody, you know, so I wanted to make sure that I was at least putting the time and effort to prove to people that I know what the hell I'm talking about. So the previous content, the previous podcast is there, but I wanted to find people that actually were going to give a shit and listen to what I wanted to talk about and had fun, you know, actually enjoyed it. So that's why I wanted to continue when I felt like I was worthy of continuing it again, you know. So yeah, that's just my view on it, dude. Leon says, what was it like YouTube first got popular? How did everyone view it? I think people, it was hard to understand because I remember one of the first videos on YouTube that went viral, and I think it was a video that was shot in Africa, and it was like all of these animals kind of coming together and fighting lions. And it was basically someone that was like a tourist over there in Africa was watching this on some safari, and I think it was baby hippo that was getting attacked by the lions, and then it was also getting attacked by the alligators. And then the hippos came in, and then these other animals were coming in. I just remember that specific video was like one of the first legitimate videos that put YouTube on the map. This was a place where you could upload your videos and people would watch them. But it was completely different with like copyright back then. People weren't necessarily making Star Wars lore videos. It was like this person made a music video or this person did this. Let's go and watch this. Kind of like just random shit on the internet until the machinima, the video game era came in. Then people started doing video game commentary videos, and that was like Minecraft, FIFA, machinima, so like Red versus Blue, you know, all that type of stuff. That's when YouTube slowly started to evolve into what you see it now. But a lot of people didn't even know how to do those things, like capture gameplay. I went into Best Buy, and I remember, it was not Best Buy. It was Circuit City at that time. I went into Circuit City, and I went in and was telling people what I wanted to do, and they told me it was impossible until I had to literally find someone online in a forum to explain every single part that I needed. And I went in there with a list, and they showed me exactly where everything is, but nobody knew what the hell I had to do. It's not like now where you can just go in and buy a capture card online and get an Elgato. No, you had to go and find a Dazzle, you had to go and find the RGB cords, you had to go and find all these adapters. And I've actually been making YouTube videos since like 2010, I think. Halo Reach was like the first stuff where I was actually recording gameplay and everything. So I've had to run it, and I've seen YouTube, and then of course Justin TV came out, which evolved into Twitch TV. So it's been crazy to see all this, and I still have yet to have 10,000 subscribers. So I'm trying my best, you know. It's not a race, it's a journey, right? Yo, David, thanks for coming in, fam. So good to see you again. So we want the Sith cloth, homie. Bring it out and represent us, Sith. Dude, yeah, It's I only got 20 minutes left and it's so hot, man. I can only do it at the beginning of the stream. If not, I'll melt, man. I'm sorry, dude. I also just got back from a meeting. So Leon says, your knowledge of Star Wars is almost unmatched, and it's so refreshing to watch someone who doesn't care about fandom negativity. I just don't... Yeah, man, Leon, anyone that's in here, I can tell you right now, I do not give a shit about what all the people online are saying about Star Wars, man. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how... I honestly don't care how positive it is. I don't care how, like, negative it is, bro. I put my head down and I just focus on Star Wars, you know? Like, that doesn't mean, like, anybody can come in here and talk Star Wars, you know? I don't support no goddamn neo-Nazis or frickin' racists, you know? That's for damn sure. I love Star Wars, and I just want people to come here and talk Star Wars, you know? And as a community, I like to see everyone, whether they like Legends continuity or Dissonance continuity, it doesn't matter. You know, whether your favorite character is Rey Skywalker, Rey Palpatine, or, you know, Revan, Nihilus, you know, everybody can come in here and just talk about shit that they like in Star Wars, or shit that they don't like, you know? Or they can call me out and say, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, as long as we're doing it, like, respectfully and fun and enjoying it together, you know? I've always wanted to have people like that just come in and talk and enjoy yourself. Hey, you like the Knights of the Old Republic? Cool. Let's go. You like the High Republic? Sick. Let's go. You know? You like Vitiate? I don't. But hey, we can talk about them. Let's go. Is my old channel still up? Nah, it's all gone. I think it used to be... the videos got deleted. I remember actually having a really sad day that day because I went on and all my videos were gone, and YouTube was telling me they didn't know how all my videos were deleted, but I had all my old, like, Halo videos up there, Machinima. I think that was the first time I ever got 1,000 views, was I made a video about Halo 4 before Halo 4 was even out, and I was talking about the idea of Halo 4 and what it could have been, but those videos are all gone. I made a whole bunch of Halo Reach Machinima videos. I think one of my videos was actually liked so much they actually put it on Machinima Respawn, which was a big channel back in the day. It was a big community channel, but you know, that was scrub dub Lord Dagovere when he was like 22 years old or something. I don't even remember how that process worked, but I remember being very excited, you know. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I remember YouTube had no commercials, and the only time I got to use YouTube was at school during after school. Yes, there was actually certain specific classes at my high school that people were allowed to be if you, I guess, paid money, and it taught you how to edit, and it taught you how to be a content creator before content creators were even a thing. This was in 2008, and I tried getting in there, but I wasn't allowed to. It desperately says, yo, I'm in the stream and on the YouTube stream. Yo, let's go, Dom. Thank you so much, fam. Appreciate you. Put in the work. Yes, thank you. My wife and I feel the same. Respect each other and have fun and have different opinions and still be friends. Yes, you know, as long as you're not a racist. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, that's what it's about, man. Like, I love The Force Awakens. I'm not a big fan of The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker, man. But if you want to come in here and talk about the lore of those things, I would love to talk to you about it, bro. You know, I'm not going to shit on it like everybody else. There's so many other channels that do that. You know, everybody has an agenda, including me. My agenda is to talk Star Wars and grow my freaking channel to find people that like Star Wars. That is what I want. I just want to grow my channel and talk Star Wars. I don't give a shit about anything else. So, yeah. Leon says, you mentioned copyright being different back then. It was probably a copyright problem. Yeah, I just remember, like, you couldn't upload anything with music, and I remember that specifically. Like, there was absolutely no leniency. It was completely restrictive to any type of music because I did Machinima, and so anytime I uploaded a musical track in the Machinima, the video would never be up, and there was no like how it is today. You know, you can't dispute it. Nah, bro, that shit was not going online ever. They were not allowing you to do that, dude. It's crazy, man. It was wild back then, but I'm glad it's so much better now. Andor Season 2 or Ahsoka Season 2, which are you most excited for? Both. I don't... Okay, so I'm excited that Andor is coming out. It's going to be good. But I'm going to have a problem with Andor because that was supposed to be like 6 seasons long. And so every 3 episodes are going to be an entire arc. And after every 3 episodes, an entire year or 2 years are going to pass. I think that's going to mess up the story. the story is no longer naturally going to end now. Like, it has to end abruptly. Obviously, we know where the story is going because of Rogue One, but we were supposed to see this story, like, beautifully fleshed out for 4, 5, 6 seasons they originally announced. Do you guys remember that? Like, it was supposed to be a very long time. But because nobody watched Andor at the beginning, you know, Disney doesn't like losing money, so they said, all right, well, you're only getting one other season. Thankfully, they didn't, you know, cancel it, but, you know, it's gonna be good, but it could have been good for 6, 7 more seasons if they let it, man. That's what I'm bummed about. Ahsoka season 2, I'm down, man. I love Ahsoka. That is my favorite series. I don't think it's the best series at all. It's just my favorite, you know. I can't wait, bro. It just did a lot of things that I really liked. People talk about it's so crazy too, because I see a lot of people that are very positive about Star Wars, but those positive people shit on Ahsoka so much in that series, and I'm just like, man, that sucks. The one series, like, I really love, you know, everyone's just like, nah, it's stupid, I hate it, you know. Ah, damn it. I remember when the series had come out, and it was literally like my favorite episodes, which is 4 and 5. And everybody, like, there's a lot of people that were just talking about, like, yeah, you know, that's stupid, it's a nostalgia bait. No shit. You know, like, what is the point of these characters if it's not supposed to bring you back to the original movies? You know, I remember people, you know, bullying and being annoying about the dialogue, and I was like, man, I don't know, I like that line, I guess, you know. It's like, I really like peanut butter and jelly, you know, but no one else likes peanut butter and jelly, you know. So it's just one of those things that I just have to take and enjoy in my own way, you know. It is what it is, man. I'm the same way. Like, I really don't like Kenobi, but there's a lot of people that like Kenobi. I think Kenobi is the weakest Star Wars media that has been produced, like, of all time, you know, because of the potential. You know, I would put The Acolyte over Kenobi because of the potential that I thought Kenobi had. But again, that's just me and how I feel. But there are people that like The Acolyte. There are people that love Kenobi, you know? It is what it is, man. It don't bother me. I think Boba Fett is the worst. Bugsy, what are you talking about? What are you talking? No. Book of Boba Fett is average. I think it's just right in the middle. But I love the opening. Like, I just can't hate the Book of Boba Fett because of the opening, bro. I think the opening is amazing. I think the first 2 episodes are so freaking good. Seeing Boba Fett survive, coming out, him getting his own freaking gaffy stick is literally the equivalent of a lightsaber being made. We've never seen a lightsaber been made in live action outside of Ahsoka with Ezra, but like, it was so intimate. Like, it was like a 10-minute scene of him literally doing everything and figuring out how to do it. It was so intimate, and it was beautiful, and I loved it. You know, you get to see Cad Bane. Is Cad Bane used correctly in that show? Absolutely not. You know, there's a lot of stuff they could have done better, but I don't think Book of Boba Fett is anywhere near as bad as people are saying. But that's just me. Maybe I need to rewatch it, bro. Let's watch it together, bro. It's a Thanksgiving series, man. I would love to watch that. There's a feast. There's everything, bro. It's a Thanksgiving series, man. I put that shit on every single Thanksgiving. Yeah, the opening of Boba Fett was perfect. Bro, I love those openings, man. Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. Oh, don't get me started, boy. Leon said, speaking of Rogue One and Kenobi, I think Chirrut Inua, yes, appearing in Obi-Wan Season 2 would have been perfect. Oh, man. Yeah, I love Chirrut, dude. I love that character so much. I love Donnie Yen. Big of the Ip Man stuff, of course, because I love Bruce Lee. So yeah, I totally feels that, fam. Let's go. Can I ask your opinion on Dark Disciple? Amazing. Dark Disciple is amazing. I believe she's very underrated. Yep, 100%. Speaking facts. Dark Disciple is amazing. Definitely go read it if you can. Watch the newest season of The Bad Batch if you can. Ventress is a great character. We need to see more characters like that. I don't know why a character like Ventress isn't being utilized in new canon, you know, for Rey. Some in the sequel trilogy, stuff like that. You know, like, where are these characters? You know, bring these characters in. There are so much stuff that they haven't used to enhance the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy needs to get the Clone Wars treatment. It needs to get the Star Wars Rebels treatment, man. It's the fact that they haven't done that is is wild to me. Well, you know, Lord Dagovere, people don't like the sequel trilogy. I don't give a shit. I don't care, bro. Invest. Like, I'm not a big Marvel person, but the Eternals comes out, right? The Eternals and Shang-Chi come out, and you want people to start getting excited for these characters people have never heard of, right? Outside of the Hulk and Iron Man and Thor and Doctor Strange, you know, all these characters that everybody freaking knows, and you know, you don't even need to read comics to understand who these are, right? But why are you not investing into these characters that are brand new? Because if you don't invest into these characters that are brand new, it makes me feel like you don't care. And if you don't care, why should I give a shit? You know? And that's the big thing. Now, I'm gonna show you guys one thing. Where's this goddamn book? One second. This right here. You see this shit? You guys see this? You guys see this? Everyone is my witness right now. This is one of the best books I've ever read. This book is one of the best books I have ever read. And it did nothing for the Rise of Skywalker. Like nothing. This is what I'm talking about. It's like, this book is so good. This was the Infinity War, okay, of the sequel trilogy. What do you mean? Well, what do you mean? The sequel trilogy is not good. Lord Dagovere? No, man, no, bro. The expanded universe of the sequel trilogy is pretty awesome. This book was amazing. This book got me so damn hyped for the Rise of Skywalker. You want to know why? One of the main reasons is because Rey loses her powers. After The Last Jedi, she's completely depressed. She lifts up these rocks. She has no freaking idea how she did it. And there's even comics to describe like how she's losing her touch with the Force. It was so interesting to see her so vulnerable and weak and scared. It was insane. Dude, this book was insane. That's just one part of it. Like, bro, they're getting everybody in here, bro. They're getting Wedge Antilles. Hey, they're getting this guy from The Empire Strikes Back. They're getting Nuna Montaru. That's the freaking side character that no one's ever heard of in your entire life, but he's literally in a frame of Return of the Jedi, so you're gonna know him. He has an eye patch, pretty cool. They're bringing everybody in this book, bro. It was like the Avengers of Star Wars uniting to fight the First Order, bro. It was such a damn good book. And they're on Ryloth. Ryloth is like one of the most important Star Wars planets in the Clone Wars era. You guys all know the history of like how Ryloth has just been raw dogged like by every faction, by every army in the entire galaxy. And this book was so good, man. What I would say is, if you don't like The Last Jedi, suffer through it again. Watch The Last Jedi again, then pick up this book and read this book. Because this book did so much, in my opinion, which it didn't follow through with The Rise of Skywalker, of course, but it's the potential that a book like this has, you know, where so much more can be done with these characters if they follow through with this stuff, you know, and it's tragic, bro. It is a tragedy that stuff like this isn't done more. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like I'm always excited for Star Wars, no matter what anybody says, because this is not something you understand. Like you're gonna see on a lot of these bigger channels, because they're not gonna give a shit about that. You know, it's a really good book. It's a really good story, and I think it shows you how well this era of Star Wars can do if they invest more into it. You know, check it out, man. I think it's sick. It's really cool. Also, the other one that takes place after Last Jedi is the Galaxy's Edge book, which is really good. Obviously, it's just to promote the Disney park, but that book is actually a good story. It's actually solid. It's really good. Skywalker Academy says, honestly, if they had Rey losing her powers at the beginning of what is that? The Rise of what is that? Are you talking about the Rise of Skywalker? I don't know. It would have added more of her growth. Yeah, well, yeah, that's the one thing though, is like she should have lost her powers at the end of The Last Jedi. Honestly. Yeah, it's okay. It just threw me off, man. I was like, did I miss a movie, bro? I was so confused. Yeah, it was, bro. I'm telling you, man. Like and that's the thing too is like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Dude, there's a lot of things that I criticize about the sequel trilogy, man. But I don't think Rey is a Mary Sue, bro. Like I just don't, man. I don't get that. Like that character got absolutely bodied throughout that entire trilogy, and this book too. Like this is a helpless girl at the end of this book. Oh, I don't even think that they finished the story. I don't even think they finished this story. Actually, I think it ends on a cliffhanger. Imperial Activity. You read this one too, right? Doesn't it end on like this weird cliffhanger? Because I'm pretty sure like Rey has no idea what to do, and she has not connected with the Force, reconnected with the Force. Who was this writer? Rebecca Roanhorse. I don't even think she's done anything recent. I think this is. I don't remember her name, so I don't think she's done anything recent either. But yeah, man, it's stuff like that where the stories are there, the characters are there, you know. You can do it. They can be good, man. I just think that they're not investing enough into it. It is what it is, man. Ugh. Yeah, Kylo Ren prequel has to happen. Dude, I love Kylo, man. Kylo's my boy. Did you guys see my helmet? Dude, I was Kylo for Halloween, bro, and I literally found the goddamn helmet after. Yeah, dude, I was so hyped. Oh, I don't remember how to. There it is. Yeah, because I like the red one. I like the revisited one. I believe you are correct. I did the. Oh, okay, yeah. So I'll have to read the audiobook. I wonder how good the audio is. Yeah, pretty sick, pretty cool. I may have to. Maybe I'll. Even though it's almost Christmas, I'll get into it. But yeah, pretty sick. All right, guys, a couple more minutes. Definitely give me any of your Star Wars questions before I head out so I can answer them. And we'll see each other next week. Chaco fam, if you're still here, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. Oh, yeah, and everybody else at Instagram Reels, appreciate you. Germ fam, it's so good to see you. I appreciate you, man, so much. I appreciate you guys over here helping the channel out, man. Guys, we are so close to 10K subscribers, man. I can't believe it, dude. Like, we're getting close. Every video, man. Every video I'm trying, like, I'm trying to put different tabs in there. I'm trying to put different titles, dude. Every subscriber, we're getting so close. Feels crazy, you know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't get the Rey stuff either. And for her to call herself a Skywalker was wow. No, thank you. I understand that. I understand that criticism. I always wanted her to be a Skywalker, but in that way, that was not. I got what I wanted, but not in the way that I wanted. You know, it's just like one of those things. Be careful what you wish for. You know, but it is what it is. I also just really did not like them making her a Palpatine, but you know, yeah. Anyway, you guys heard that shit enough from other channels, but yeah. Skywalker Academy says, which lightsaber type is better in your opinion, double-bladed lightsaber or crossguard? Dude, I think crossguard is so powerful. Did you see the way Kylo Ren used that on Finn? That was insane. People do not talk about that fight scene enough. That scene where he's fighting Finn and he's pushing his crossguard up against Finn's shoulder and like stabbing him with the crossguard, bro, that was the rawest shit I have seen in Star Wars. That was so sick, bro. I have not seen someone with that much aura in Star Wars since Vader. Could you imagine like Kylo Ren doing his thing? Because I kind of feel like he's in his prime in The Rise of Skywalker, and I could just see this guy. Like, that's where I want a Kylo Ren series, is when he already has his new helmet, or his reforged helmet, and he is going around just bodying these people with that crossguard, dude. That is sick, bro. Man, I'd love that. We'd love for you to continue the podcast, bro. Not many Star Wars YouTubers educate us as much as you. Dude, yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, the stuff is here. I just want to consistently make sure that we have things to talk about, because I love sources. I love making sure that you guys know exactly what book, exactly what source book, exactly what page, because I can't stand a lot of things that I read online that people have read because of something they read on Reddit, a tweet that they had seen, a video that they listened to, and it's distorting what's the actual source. Distorting, like for instance, Mace Windu in the dark side. That man had never used the dark side when it comes to a Vipad. Like, people misinterpret Vipad so much, man. It's probably one of the biggest misinterpretations of like a character in Star Wars. I can't tell you how many times people will fight me in the comments because they think Mace Windu is a gray Jedi. It is crazy how people don't understand like the definition of penumbra. And I have to explain it all the time. But it doesn't matter. I can't make the blind see. They believe it enough, so they're not going to listen to me, even if it's like true. And that's I think the worst thing about using the source, because they've already heard it so much from other people that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a cognitive dissonance where they just, no, that's not true. That's actually not true. That's inaccurate. This is the reason why they said that is because that's not an accurate or a reliable source, even though it's from the book, or even though it's from like literally Mace Windu's quote of him explaining himself. It's crazy, dude. Imagine if he healed his red crystal and he had a white unstable crossguard. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I actually would love to see different colors. Like Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO does a really good job of making Star Wars kyber crystals that are there are some that are just wild and crazy, but there are some that are really nice. And I love this like grayish blue tint of a color, as if the crystal had kind of been overused or had just been through this traumatic event, almost like someone's hair turning gray, or something. It was really cool. It still had life, but it showed the experience or trauma that the crystal had attached to. That's the one that I used myself, and it's not white, so it doesn't take away like Ahsoka's uniqueness or something, or yellow, like from the Knights of the Old Republic games or the Jedi Knight games, So Jerem says, yes, whatever happened to the Knights of Ren, the comics did help. So disappointed how they ended them in the last movie. Yeah, it is what it is. It's just because I personally just feel like it's production and they're trying to close a story that was just different ideas. It is what it is, but the comics were amazing. You see the Knights of Ren in the Kylo Ren comics, and they're really cool too in there as well. Hoping we get to see more of the Knights of Ren in this new Kylo Ren comic that's going to be coming out next year. Does anybody know how long that comic is going to be? Because I really would love to see them do like Vader comic style, where it's just like, this is 2024, this is 2025, this is 2026. I will eat that shit up. I'm going to make so many videos off of that series. Like I like legitimately, like I love Kylo Ren, dude. He's one of my favorite characters. It's Anakin Skywalker, then Kylo Ren for me. All day. Anakin Skywalker, Vader, then Kylo Ren. Yeah, man. All right, guys. Last questions, and then I'm gonna head out. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. So I can't wait, Leon. I legitimately cannot wait, man. I cannot wait. It's been fun, man. I love it. Yeah, we do this so we're gonna do this every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. In my short videos, I don't know how many of you guys have seen the short videos. Please go on, watch them, check them out, like them, share them with your friends, please. I know we got on my Instagram and YouTube, but please, guys, please, literally, every single comment helps, man. You have no idea. It literally tells the algorithm that my videos are decent, and it'll send it out to other people. So thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you so much for helping me out, man. I really appreciate you guys. Dark Disciple made me hate Mace Windu even more. The way he disregarded Ventress's death, sacrifice like she was nothing, made me look at him differently. I think that Mace Windu is not correctly depicted in a lot of Star Wars books. I don't think that the EU really understands what Mace Windu is. I think actually one of the only books that get Mace Windu right is this book. I think this book really helps you understand how much Mace Windu cared about Anakin Skywalker. This book it makes you understand how empathetic Mace Windu is. And I just can't look at these other books and say like, oh yeah, that's my Mace Windu. Nah, man, Mace Windu, in my opinion, is probably best described in this book. So definitely check that out if you can. If you already read it, you probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of Mace Windu hate, man, and I understand it. I just think it's misguided, and I think that it's mostly because people misinterpret who he is as a character. And I'm talking about the writers. I've always said Mace never hated Anakin, but he distrusted him. Yeah, of course, who would, man? He's the problem child of Jedi. Even me, like the biggest Anakin Skywalker fan, you know, I'm very self-aware of Anakin and what he has done. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh man. But yeah, guys, thank you so much, Apprentices and Acolytes on Instagram. We're gonna head out and we're gonna close it out over here on YouTube. But thank you guys so much for being here on Instagram. I'm gonna see you guys next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys like those videos, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. All right, YouTube, let's frickin' go, fam. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you for being here. Let's frickin' go. Hell yes, man. Apprentices and Acolytes coming into the Dark Temple, visited by Mara Jade, Luke Skywalker, and Kyle Katarn, and so many of the Force sensitives like yourself. I am Lord Dagovere, and I'll see you next time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday. Deuces.